was a little belch. It was a tiny little belch. Hello, BookTube. Welcome to your Daily Penguin. This one's going to be brief because we've covered this ground before. I'm still laughing out freaking out on camera and gave a tiny little belch, and all I can think about is the gigantic World War I causing boundary resetting events that the belches were that my basset hound emitted. They weren't anything like like that. But anyway, we are going through my penguins book by book, and today we encounter another one of those penguins that sort of stands on their own. Another one like Origin of Species or The Life of Johnson that really doesn't need an introduction and much of a video, especially since I have talked about this book and recommended it a million times before, and I believe it's also come up on the Daily Penguin in the Penguin Adjacent recommend that I'll make today, and it is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. This is one of my favorite adventure novels, called by many people the greatest adventure novel of them all. It's the story of Captain Nemo and the Nautilus. It has, like so many other of the standalone sort of cultural icon penguins that we've touched on, it has entered into the cultural lexicon. A little bit less so. It's fading a little bit. There hasn't been a really great cinematic adaptation of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in quite some time, and that's a shame. The last time that anything even alluding to this great book and these great characters happened on the big screen was the movie version of The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, starring Sean Connery, that unfortunately has garnered a reputation as being an absolutely horrible movie. I don't think that's true. I've watched it many times. I don't think it's horrible. At least maybe not bit by bit, scene by scene, performance by performance. It might be horrible as a movie, just as a total conceptual unit, but who watches movies that way, except for insufferable cinematiques? Most people watch movies scene by scene, theme by theme, acting performance by acting performance, or in this case, sort of tableau by tableau. And in that movie, there are quite a few really good sequences and scenes, quite a few winning pieces of characterization. And one of the characters in that movie, aside from Alan Quatermain and Mina Harker and Tom Sawyer and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and M and a whole bunch of other characters, one of the characters in that movie is Captain Nemo. And it's by far the most faithful and accurate portrayal of Captain Nemo that has ever appeared on screen. Ordinarily, you would never know if you didn't read this book and the one other Jules Verne book that is directly connected to this book that has come up on this channel recently. You'd never guess from the cinematic versions of Captain Nemo that he was anything like what he is in the books. This is terrific, absolutely terrific. It has classic moments with a squid and a shark and an undersea city and Captain Nemo's weird blend of egalitarian heroism and authoritarian tyranny. I'm not meaning to oversell it as an intellectual banquet. It is mainly an adventure story, but boy, oh boy, it wastes no time in working. It works just fine. This is a relatively new translation by David Coward. Some of you who know this book, its history of translation in English, will know that it has been plagued from time to time with noticeably bad translations. This, I thought, was really good. And it is one of the only versions of this book that I had. You would never guess from how many versions I have how much I love this book. If you looked at my personal collection, you would know right away how much I love Dracula or Moby Dick, but not this. And I don't know why that is. I've had many editions of this book in my life, but I don't have them anymore. I have this, and I also have your Penguin Adjacent, which we've seen already. This is the Penguin Classic hardcover of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, with the built-in bookmark and the sewn binding and the nice white pages and everything. Those are my two 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Scribner does a version of this, an illustrated version of this, but the illustrations, as far as I know, are not by N.C. Wyeth. One way or another, I don't have an illustrated version at the moment. There are a couple of really good, barely expurgated at all young adult versions that I don't have. And also Fall River, a reprint house called Fall River. I've shown some of their books on this channel before. They do an anthology volume for H.G. Wells, an anthology volume for Edgar Allan Poe, and they are beautiful, absolutely wonderful, and the material is really good. And those of you who are very, very young or who only live on BookTube will not know what I mean by anthology volume, because on BookTube it is somehow, for some weird reason, called a bind-up. But it's an anthology, and Fall River does an anthology of Jules Verne that is fantastic. I had it once upon a time, and I don't anymore. And it has 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and a bunch of other stuff. I keep meaning to go on eBay or Amazon and see if the Fall Reaver hardcover is available and nice and affordable. But in the meantime, I have these, and I really don't need to whinge on and on about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, except to recommend it. I so wholeheartedly recommend it. You want to put a little bit of effort into the translation. Try to get something that's done in the last 20 years. The Penguin is just fine for that. But if you haven't read it, oh my, it is a tried and true adventure classic that you're missing out on, and that I think will grip you right away, even in English. So that is your Penguin Classic for today. It is a wholehearted recommendation. I wholeheartedly recommend 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I have no idea how many times I've read this book. Now, who knows what we'll encounter tomorrow? It could be something that I don't know nearly as well. And when it comes to big, lifelong friends like this, my main problem is not coming up with things to say about it. I just recommend it. It's all the hype that you've heard. It's in the cultural lexicon for a reason. So if you haven't read it, you should read it. No, my main problem is when I pull down books like this or Jungle Books or Sherlock Holmes, I have an overwhelming temptation to just start reading it again. And I have lots to read. I can't afford the time. I have lots to read, and this weekend lots to write. So I can't afford the distraction of that would entail. So I have to put this right back up on the shelf. And we'll go on to another Penguin tomorrow, and who knows what it will be. I'm intentionally not looking ahead, so we will reconvene then. Sorry for the brevity, but I will make up for it, I'm sure, by going on at length on other Penguins. So until then, I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.